or or even short-term ones, given the uncertainty. So more of a fatigue, I think.
James Waterhouse there in Kiev. Let's talk to Franz-Stefan Gady, who's a fellow of the International Institute for Strategic Studies. Do you think Russia is on the verge of invading Ukraine?
Well, I can tell that Russia right now has the military capabilities along the Russia-Ukrainian border to launch a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. That doesn't mean that they're about to do it. I do think the risk of war is increasing dramatically.
You don't think they're necessarily about to do it. Does that suggest this huge troop build-up could be some sort of bluff then?
Well, former Secretary of Defense Robert Gates published an op-ed, I believe yesterday, where he quoted Voltaire, who once said that you can basically do anything with bayonets except sit on them. And by that he meant essentially sooner or later, if you have a military capability that you're amassing, sooner or later you will need to use it or not. Otherwise you lose credibility internationally, but also credibility domestically, and it no longer has the compellent effect that you are trying to achieve with it. So I think sooner or later something will have to give. Whether a diplomatic solution can be found, I don't know. This is really something that needs to be seen. But generally speaking, if you have so many troops at the border, I think sooner or later you create a very, very dangerous situation where something bigger can happen.
And would that be, in your view, if it does happen, an invasion of the whole of Ukraine rather than just any single part of it, including the capital, Kiev?
I'm not privy to Russian war plans, of course, but considering the sort of demands that Russia is making at the moment, I think minor incursions or so-called hybrid warfare operations, cyber attacks, subversive activities, sabotage, economic warfare, information operations, destabilizing civil society and so forth are probably not going to achieve what Russia aims to achieve with triggering this crisis. So I do think a full-scale invasion can occur. Russia has the capability to do so, but it doesn't mean that necessarily this is going to happen.
What about the West? Has the United States and Britain and other powers in the West, have they done enough to deter Russia, to stand up to Russia, to make it clear this cannot stand?
The short answer is no. What we are seeing right now, arms deliveries, the United Kingdom, the United States sending arms to Ukraine right now, it's too little, too late, in my opinion. We should have had a comprehensive deterrent strategy in place vis-a-vis Russia that really would have signaled to Russia, listen, you're overstepping a boundary here. We haven't done so. So I do think that at the moment, military deliveries, more arms deliveries and so forth are not going to change the strategic calculus of Russia.
But more intense threats from the West, in the end, that could have threatened a third world war, couldn't it? If you stand up to Russia by saying, OK, if you invade Ukraine, we're going to take you on. That is simply too dangerous, isn't it?
Of course, we should never forget that we're talking about one of the nuclear armed superpowers in the world. The other one is, of course, the United States. So there's a whole nuclear dimension that we need to be very careful about. Having said that, we are not only talking about deterrence. Deterrence always has to go hand in hand with diplomacy. And I think deterrence combined with diplomacy in this instance would have or will achieve the best outcome, not just for Ukraine, but also for NATO and other Western allies and partners.
Franz-Stefan Gady, thank you so much for your analysis, a fellow of the International Institute for Strategic Studies. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.